Sports Talk with me, KP. It's August 19th, 2017. All right. How's everybody doing today? Everybody having a good day? Everybody having a good weekend? Got through the work week well? I hope everybody's enjoying themselves. Thanks for tuning in to Real Deal Sports Talk with me, KP. I am your host. This is my show, and I appreciate each and every one of you giving me the chance to talk sports with you each and every week. We are here every Saturday throughout the NFL season. We will keep this ball rolling. We're going to keep doing our division predictions. Right now I'm rewatching some of the highlights from the Titans and Carolina Panthers game earlier today, and I got to say, with my predictions last week on the NFC South and what Christian McCaffrey is going to offer to that team, Carolina is looking quite well for themselves right now in the preseason. And as far as that matter, the Titans, who we will talk about today, they also look impressive. They got a team that's a try-hard team. They're not going to give up on a play. They're giving everything they got each and every down. And we'll talk about them today in our division predictions as we work through the show. Last week, as you know, we got through 3 divisions last week. This week we're going to be covering 3 divisions as well. We'll be talking about the AFC South on today's show and the AFC and NFC East. That will leave us with the AFC and NFC North to talk about next week, covering all the divisions as we wrap them up next week. 3 this week, 3 last week, 2 next week. That's all 8 divisions. So let's get into some of the games that have already been played, because there have been games played this weekend already. There are still games coming up, as you well may know. If you were watching the NFL Network, they did decide to go ahead and move the Broncos 49ers game off of the NFL Network tonight. They're replacing that with an episode of A Football Life. So if you're looking to watch the Broncos 49ers game, you're looking at either the Game Pass there with NFL, or you're looking at local coverage there in those markets. So games that have already been played, starting on Thursday, the Bills took on the Eagles. The Eagles took that one 20-16. The Ravens were all over the Dolphins, and Jay Cutler's debut there 31-7 in the preseason, although the first team offense did look pretty well with Jay Cutler at the helm. Buccaneers beat the Jaguars in what was really just kind of an ugly preseason game, 12-8. And last night, of course, the Seahawks took on the Vikings, winning that one 20-13. And I have to say, the Seahawks, they looked better. They looked better than they have in recent memory in the preseason on offense. Doug Baldwin is clearly one of the leaders on that offense. Eddie Lacy didn't look bad. He didn't look great, but he didn't look bad. So, all in all, the preseason's wrapping up to be exactly what we've talked about it is. It's glorified scrimmages. It's trying this and that. It's getting through until you can start playing the football that counts. There's games on tonight, of course. Broncos are on tonight playing San Francisco. The Jets had to take on my Lions tonight. That's at 5:30 here local time, 7:30 Eastern. I will be checking that out. In fact, that's the reason why we're coming at you a little early today. Instead of getting at you guys at 6:30, we got at you at 4:30 so that I can be ready to watch the Lions take on the Jets there in the preseason. And that's just real talk. That's how I'm going to keep it. As far as any other NFL news and notes, we can take a quick look at all the top headlines out there. Some of this stuff we're going to be talking about. Seahawks with their bad offensive line luck again, as the offensive lineman Fant, the starting left tackle, tears his ACL and he's out for the season. Maualuga got signed by the Dolphins today, so they pick up a player, which we'll be talking about their defense here shortly as well. Leonard Fournette and his foot, he's planning to play in opening week. We're going to talk about that a little bit. The anthem protest, we'll get to some of that stuff too as we do our division predictions, because it ties into some of the teams we're going to be talking about today. Other storylines that are out there right now. nothing really big out there as far as things going on in the NFL preseason itself. No big trades, no big injuries so far this week. So we'll just go ahead and get into it. We're going to start off with the AFC South. We have the Titans, the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Houston Texans in this division. We'll start off talking about the Titans because that's a team that played today. Some of you might have watched the game against Carolina. And again, like I was saying, this Tennessee team, what I noticed from them last year, what I noticed from them this year, is they're mostly fueled by young talent, okay, young guys, but they're try-hard guys. They're not those overly athletic, overly gifted guys. They're a bunch of try-hard guys, and I really like that about this team. I like that with the fact Mariota's coming back from the broken leg at the end of last year. He impressed last year. He showed his willingness to stay in the pocket. He showed his ability to read defenses, to go through progressions, and still not lose that athletic ability that gives him an X factor on the field. They have the tandem of Murray and Henry. I expect Henry to get a little more run this year than he did last year, but that is quite the 1-2 punch for that young offense. You put Rashard Matthews on the outside. You still have the stud Delaney Walker there at tight end. A pretty solid offensive line. I mean, you got Taylor Lewin, the first-round pick from a few years ago. You're solid at both tackles positions with Jack Conklin on the other side. And, not names in the middle, but guys that can play. Quentin Spann, Ben Jones, Josh Klein. You got Corey Davis, the young rookie out of Western Michigan there on the other side. And then you're running, like I said, that double-headed running back. And, you throw in a David Fluellen. He's going to play some special teams for him. And you got a nice little offense right there with some young talent that you're going to be able to build through for the next few years in that division, really. And if you look at what they have going on defense, it's the same kind of thing. They bring in a Sylvester Williams this year, who I'm not that high on as a player, but he'll serve his purpose in this defense, not having to play as much 3-4 and maybe getting to play a little more D-tackle. They got Daquan Jones. They got Jarrell Casey. They have a pretty good linebacking core with Brian Arakpo and Avery Williamson and Wesley Woodyard and even Derek Morgan. Just looking through their depth chart right here. They bring over Logan Ryan from New England to help them out in the cornerback position. They have some turnover at safety, so we're going to have to see how that plays out throughout the season. But again, this is a young try-hard team who's going to go out there and they're going to battle and they're going to give everything they have on every play. I see this team building on what they did last year. I see them improving in some areas over what they did last year, and really, I got them going 10-6 this year. I like the Titans in this division, and I think this year they could take that next step with how they've built this young team, especially with the running game, the try-hard football players on the defensive side. Moving over to Indianapolis. I don't know what to say about Indianapolis. This is a team, when they made the transition from Manning to Luck and Irsay decided to go that route, it looked like it was gonna be seamless. They made it to the playoffs, then the next year they made it to the second round, the year after that they made it to the AFC Championship game, right? Now we have this situation, ongoing saga with Luck's shoulder. When's he going to be back? Some people are saying early September. Now we're hearing rumors out there, maybe unsubstantiated reports that we're looking maybe at October. Without Luck, Tolzien is not going to be the answer for the Colts. So if Luck misses substantial time, I got the Colts going 5-11. If he doesn't miss substantial time, I could see them going 9-7 this year. Now, people say, wait. They brought over all these defenders. I know, Colts fans. I get it. You guys brought in a Jabral Sheard. You guys brought in other free agents on the defensive side of the ball. We'll talk about them here in a minute. But where's that defense going to come from? Vontae Davis is a baller, okay? He would start for just about every team in the league. You guys have weapons on the offensive side of the ball. But again, this is a team, we need to see something from defense. And if you look at their depth chart right now, you got Henry Anderson, Al Woods, and the free agent signing Jonathan Hankins, who I think is going to regress, leaving that San Francisco Giants popped in my head. That New York Giants defense. It fit him. He had a counterpart on the other side in the defensive tackle position that made it work. Now he's going to be the guy on this defensive line. All right, now you say, okay, we brought over Jabral Sheard from New England. How many New England players go to other teams and really ball out? A lot of New England players are system guys who come up there, and New England's able to get something very specific out of them to make them what they are when they leave and go get their money. Okay? Same thing for like a Barkevius Mingo, who right now he's listed third on the depth chart behind John Simon and Akeem Ayers. You bring in a John Bostic, who was out all of last year with injury. Teaming him up with Antonio Morrison there at the linebacker position. And then on the back end, who do you got? I mean, really, who do you got on the back end other than Vontae Davis? Rashawn Melvin's going to need to prove himself. Matthias Fairley. And then you got an aging Darius Butler, who's really a corner converted to a safety, with not a lot behind them, just some guys. So it's still, the defense for this team is something that's still very much a work in progress. And then you go, wait a second, okay, but KP, you can't overlook the offense. They got all those weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Okay, yes, you got a Dante Moncrief. You got Eric Swoop at tight end. You got a Jack Doyle on the other side at tight end. You have your T.Y. Hilton, right? You got Frank Gore. You have Robert Turbin. You got a Marlon Mack who can come in and play. You got a Josh Ferguson who might be a special teams guy. Great. It still centers around Andrew Luck and what that offensive line is going to be able to pull off. They just sustained another injury on that offensive line. Ryan Kelly, the outstanding center who came in out of Alabama and started for them as a rookie, is now out 6 to 8 weeks with a foot procedure. That's going to hurt that offensive line. I still don't have faith in Anthony Costanzo. I know some people have said he's been playing better, but I'm sorry, I don't see it yet. I don't have faith in that offensive line. Yes, they have weapons. Yes, they brought over some guys in free agency on that defense. If Luck's able to come back, I'm telling you, 9-7, a couple breaks, you're right there in the playoff picture. Luck misses substantial time. You guys are just like you were when Peyton Manning was running the show. And if he wasn't going to be there, you weren't getting 12 years of wins a year. That team wasn't going to be good enough. You saw that the year he went down with the neck injury. And what you guys have, 2 wins that year, 3 wins? That's the situation you're looking at right now. Sorry, that's how I see it. Love to be proven wrong. I'm always love to be proven wrong when talking about sports. That's real talk. That's just how it is. That's why we play the games. That's why we love it. It's why we tune in. So please, if you have a problem with what I'm saying on my show, get at me. Get at me on Facebook, Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. Get at me on Twitter, at Real Deal KVP. Find us on the Google page. Reach out through the website and get the email address. Whatever you got to do, you want to be part of the show, let's get you part of the show. Let's get you on here. We'll debate. I have no problem with that. It's all love. It's sports. Moving on to Jacksonville, okay? 3rd team in this division. I don't know what to say about Jacksonville, right? This team could go 3-13 very easily. This team could go, as best as I see it, 7-9, which is stunning to me. It's hard for me to say that about this Jacksonville team because they have so much talent, so much youth. Now, Bortles looks like he might be losing his quarterback position, right? Looks like there might be going, okay, the kid doesn't have it. Let's go with Chad Henne. Go back to Chad Henne. Coughlin's back in the mix, right? He's running the show. Everybody loves him down in Jacksonville. He's the hard-nosed, no slack kind of guy. Fournette's foot injury seems minor. Is that going to flare up at some point during the season and cost Jacksonville something? And he's part of that young, talented youth movement they have going on right there. They've put a lot of stock in Blake Bortles. Doesn't look like that's going to pan out. It just doesn't. At the running back position, you have a Leonard Fournette. Chris Ivy's the veteran in the group. You still have a T.J. Yeldon. You go through, you have Allen Robinson, you have Allen Hurns, you have a Marcus Lee, you have Rashad Green Sr., who is a great, in my opinion, possession receiver. Dede Westbrook has been making plays out of Oklahoma for them so far in the preseason, a little bit in the second half. You have Mercedes Lewis at tight end. Now, Julius Thomas has left to Miami. So outside of Mercedes Lewis, you don't have much at tight end. You bring in a Michael Rivera, you have a Ben Koyak, and then looking at their offensive line, Cam Robinson at left tackle, Patrick Omame at left guard, Brandon Linder at center, A.J. Cann at right guard, Jeremy Parnell at right tackle. Okay, decent offensive line. But you got young weapons at the wide receiver position. You got young studs at the running back position. You're going to have to either get Blake Bortles to play or move on to Chad Henne because you have some talent on the offensive side of the ball. And for me, for Jacksonville, the bigger thing is their defensive side of the ball, where they are loaded with talent. You have a Dante Fowler Jr. He exploded the other night for a nice little play around the end. You have a Stephon Charles and Arbery Jones. You bring over Malik Jackson, right? You have Sheldon Day in camp. You have Telvin Smith at linebacker with Miles Jack playing the middle, who's played really well as a rookie last year. You have the vet in Paul Posluszny, hard name to say. You have Jalen Ramsey on the outside. You have A.J. Boyd, who you bring over in free agency and give a ton of money to. You have Tashawn Gibson and Barry Church, who you bring over from Dallas. They have the talent. This is a team that needs to put it together and play. And unfortunately, and I didn't even mention Calais Campbell. I skipped right over Calais Campbell. You bring him over in free agency also. This is a team with the talent they have. You should see them pretty much dominate defensively in this division, similar to what Houston did last year. But will that happen? I don't see it. It's still Jacksonville. It's still Jacksonville. That's where guys go to get paid. That's what I see. Free agents go to Jacksonville to get paid. And once they get that big money, you don't see the same player from them. So I need to see something from Jacksonville before I'm going to give them the credit they think they're due. Sorry. Again, Jacksonville fans, if you want to get at me, please do. We'll debate it. I'd love to hear your point of view. So I got them going 3-13. Good season for Jacksonville, 7-9. Building blocks. Not competing for the division this year. And last but not least in this division in the AFC South, we'll talk about the Houston Texans, who last year took this division. I got them going, I think they regressed a little bit this year. I could see them being an average team, 8-8. I could see them a couple things going right, ending up around a 10-6. I don't see them going 7-9 or less than 500. The defense still has enough guys, even with the loss of, what's the big man in the middle? Name is escaping me right now. Y'all know who I'm talking about. And another thing I'm worried about with that defense, honestly, since we're talking about the defense, is J.J. Watt's back. He's coming back from a third back surgery. So is this 100% of J.J. going to be equal to the 100% of J.J. that was? Or is this 100% of J.J. equal to more like 85, 75% of what J.J. was? Is this something that's not going to allow him to play 16 games or keep him out of the playoff run if they make it that far? That's something to watch for this team very much this year. Can Jadeveon Clowney put together back-to-back seasons for the first time in his NFL career? Can he avoid the injury bug again? That's something to look at. The switch at defensive coordinator for this team has me worried. I know Romeo Crennel is still involved, but you're switching to Mike Vrabel as the defensive coordinator, and that's going to be a transition. What will that do to the defense that was one of the number one Ds in the league last year? Savage or Watson? Very easy decision for me. You go with Watson. You might have some growing pains with him, but this kid is a proven winner. Yes, he throws interceptions, but he also wins games. Let him learn on the go. Coach him up. Build him an offense that suits his skills, okay? You have weapons down there. You have Hopkins. You have Miller. You have Fuller. He's hurt right now. He's out for a while with the collarbone, but he'll be back. You have all those tight ends down there that nobody can say what their name is, okay? You got pieces. You got the defense. Mostly all these players are back. A.J. Bowie left to your rival. You still got Joseph, who, he's a little long in the tooth, but he's going to be making plays. Can the defense come close to reproducing what they did last year? Can the offense do enough to get them there this year? Okay, 8-8, 10-6 is where I got them going. Winner of this division, I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans to win the AFC South this year. Houston, I believe, will go with Watson overall, and they are going to still push for the division. So that's how I see the AFC South going. Moving on, we're going to move on to the AFC East for a second. Quick minute, get through those teams before we finish the show with the NFC East and how I got that division playing out for this year. So the AFC East. Aforementioned Jay Cutler, he is back. He has a relationship with Adam Gase. Tannenhill went down with the knee injury, so Gase calls up his buddy. Is it too risque? Is this going to be an issue down there in Miami? Is Jay Cutler committed? That's the big thing. Everybody questioned his want to, right? I equate Jay Cutler like this. Jay Cutler is a guy who can play football but doesn't like football. And what I mean by that is he has all of the physical abilities to be a top flight NFL quarterback. Top 5, top 3 skill set. Mobile enough. Toughness. Will stick in the pocket. Strong arm. Accuracy. Can put it on a dime. Is willing to stick it in a spot and let your receiver make a play. But you look at his demeanor. You question his want to. And hey, I get it. If somebody's going to pay me that much money, I'm going to go ahead and keep doing it. Because yes, I'm able to do it. I'm physically capable. I know I'm good enough. You're paying me, so why not? That's how I see Jay Cutler. So how does that affect this team down there that's trying to build something to go against the Patriots? And let's just get it out of the way. AFC East, Patriots. They're the winners by far. Nobody going to challenge them in this division, barring some kind of terrorist attack that takes out Brady and Belichick. Not going to happen. So we'll just get that out of the way. No suspense on who I'm picking in the AFC East. But this Cutler thing is going to be something to watch. I believe Sue on the defensive side of the ball, on the other side, he needs to get more out of his guys this year. He needs to get more out of that defense. He needs to get more out of a Jordan Phillips next to him. He needs to get more. He needs to get a full season out of a Cameron Wake, who he's getting old, yes, but he hasn't played a lot of football because he's injured all the time. Andre Branch is going to have to step up. Charles Harris is going to have to step up. Kiko Alonso is going to have to step up. The whole linebacking core, Raekwon McMillan. Lawrence Timmons is an older guy. He's definitely going to need to step up and do something. Byron Maxwell, I don't know if he has anything to step up. Can Altron Werner add anything as he comes over from Tampa Bay? Xavier Howard on the other side, and then in the back end you have Rashad Jones and Nate Allen. You have T.J. McDonald who came over. Okay, so you got some guys that have had some good defensive seasons, and Ndamukong Suh needs to be the leader. He needs to be the vocal leader. He needs to be the guy in that locker room for the Miami Dolphins. On the offensive side, you have Landry. I believe in Landry. I like Jarvis Landry. Jay Cutler likens Devontae Parker to a faster Alshon Jeffrey. We'll see about that. Jay Ajayi. He needs to be more consistent. Yes, he had some nice 200-yard games, but he also disappeared for parts of the season. Julius Thomas coming back over and joining back up with Adam Gase. Is he going to turn back into that touchdown machine with Anthony Fasano becoming the blocking tight end for him? Kenny Stills on the other side, speed guy, taking him deep. This is a team that looks like it should be able to compete on paper. Who's going to step up for the Dolphins? I got them going. They're average team, somewhere between 7-9, 9-7. You know, they'll beat some teams. They're going to lose some games they shouldn't. I don't have faith in them right now. I'm not feeling it. Okay, we'll have to see. Again, that's why we play the games. Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, this is a team you'd like to see do well because of the old Buffalo Bills in the early 90s, if you're old enough to remember those teams. Buffalo was competitive. They were good. They now haven't been to the playoffs since 1999. I don't see them reaching the playoffs this year or even being in contention. I got them going 6-10. Sean McDermott's coming over from Carolina to become the head coach. Defensive-minded guy. They have some players there on defense. They've lost some pieces there on defense. They bring in one of my favorite players in the NFL, a great veteran, a great guy to have in your locker room, in my opinion, in Anquan Boldin. Doesn't have a lot left in the tank. He's not going to have Pro Bowl, All-Pro numbers, but he will be Tyrod Taylor's safety blanket for this Buffalo Bills team. And again, he's listed as one of the starters. Jordan Matthews comes over in the big trade with the Sammy Watkins deal. He chips his sternum. He's out for an undefined period of time. Brandon Tate, he's more of a special teams guy. Philly Brown, we'll see. He's got, some speed, but that's about it. Offensive line is pretty good. Cordy Glenn, Richie Incognito, Eric Wood, John Miller, and Jordan Mills. They're going to be protecting LaShawn McCoy, okay? McCoy's starting to get up there. He's going to start falling off a little bit. Got a nice fullback for him in Patrick DeMarco. Tyrod Taylor, he's solid but not one of the better quarterbacks, and Andre Holmes on the other side for the receiver position. So, again, could they make some waves? Potentially. Do they have all the pieces in place? I don't see it for this year. Defensively, Shaq Lawson will be back this year. He missed a lot of last season due to injury. Kyle Williams, he's getting older, but he's a solid defensive tackle. Marcel Darius, I'm sorry, I need to see a lot more out of him. I need to see splash out of him. I need him to make the Bills' defense relevant. Okay? I need him to be the hype that was coming out of Alabama. Now, he's had some solid years, don't get me wrong. He's a stud. But I need him to make the highlight shows. I need him to make Buffalo's defense a national topic, okay? Not just a topic in the greater Northeast, not just a topic throughout his division, a national topic that we can all look at. Jerry Hughes is getting old, but he's still serviceable there. Lorenzo Alexander is a tackling machine. I like him. And they lose a little bit at cornerback, but they still have Tre'Davious White, who's, surprisingly going to start here as a rookie, and Sharice Wright on the other side, Micah Hyde, and Jordan Poyer at safety. What can McDermott get out of this, guys? I don't know. He's going to have to get a lot out of them to better the 6-10 I have them going, and that could be generous, honestly. The Jets, what can you say about the Jets? I got them, I'll give them a 2-14. I'm going to say they managed to win a couple games this year. Josh McCown most likely going to be the starting quarterback there. Hackenberg's not impressing, and neither is Bryce Petty, really. Neither one of them are challenging the 36-year-old quarterback. At wide receiver, who do you have on this team? You look through their roster, where's their weapons? I'm trying to find a name that defenses or anybody's really going to have to... Matt Forte is their top weapon, and he's an aged running back. Bilal Powell is his backup. Jets fans, a lot of people have been going, they have the worst roster in the NFL. They have the worst roster in the NFL. They don't have names that anybody knows. They don't have names that are jumping off the page on their offense. On defense, is Leonard Williams going to have a great year? He should. Should Muhammad Wilkerson have a great year? He should. Sheldon Richardson. Is he going to play for his contract? Deron Lee, a nice linebacker, but we need to see more out of him in this defense. Morris Claiborne comes over from Dallas to help them out at corner, but I mean, there's your top guy right there. And what's that say about your corner position? You got this safety out of LSU and Jamal Adams that I really like. You could probably build a defense around his skill set, even though he's a safety, and he'll be next to Marcus May. So you have some guys on that defensive side of the ball, but not enough. You don't have the depth. You do bring in a Bruce Carter he's a little older. He's a smart veteran, solid tackler. But again, that's a guy that didn't get picked up anywhere else. He is here, a local guy here from Colorado. But, not Carter. Josh Martin is. I'm looking at another player in their depth chart. Bruce Carter is out of North Carolina. But he's a solid guy. 7 years in the league. He'll offer some leadership. But the Jets just don't have it this year. They're going to be lucky to go 2-14. You never wish a team to go anything, have a year like that. You want everybody to do well. You want your team to do the best. Sorry, Jets fans. I don't know what to tell you. Patriots, I'm not giving them 16-0. I'm not giving them 19-0. I think the Patriots end up at 12-4 on the regular season. This is one of their most loaded teams they've had that I can remember, especially in the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era. Brady by far is the best quarterback in the division. And we're probably going to see their coordinators leave at the end of this year. These are guys that are going to be up for head coaching positions next year, as they were this year. Now, you know how the Patriots are. Everything with them is unofficial until it's official. But you're looking at their unofficial depth chart. You got Brandon Cooks and Chris Hogan and Danny Amendola. Matthew Slater, who's your special team stud, but gets in there on offense every now and then. You've got a solid offensive line. Nate Solder, Joe Thuney, David Andrews, Shaq Mason, and Marcus Cannon. Gronkowski's going to be back and healthy. Dwayne Allen comes over and bolsters that tight end crop. They have a James O'Shaughnessy that they signed. Okay, they're deep at tight end. We'll have to see how many they keep. Other receivers they have: Julian Edelman, Malcolm Mitchell. Okay, loaded at the receiver position for Tom Brady this year. They have Deion Lewis. They bring over a Rex Burkhead. They have Glenn Gronkowski in camp, but he probably doesn't make the team. They also have James White, who one of those, James White or Deion Lewis, is reported to possibly be getting released. They bring over a Mike Gillespie from Buffalo, who most likely makes this team as a starter. Probably plays some special teams for him as well. Then on the defensive side of the ball, you bring over a Coney Ely, right, who may or may not make the team. You have Alan Branch, you have Malcolm Brown, you have Trey Flowers at the defensive end position. Shane McClellan played better at linebacker than I expected him to. You also still bring back Dante Hightower. David Harris comes over from the Jets, leaving that horrible situation. Kyle Van Noy, he's a nice little piece. They don't have to use him as a starter. They can use him as a guy here and there who gets in and serves a role. You bring over a Stephon Gilmore from Baltimore to team him up with Malcolm Butler. You still have Patrick Chung, who plays great in this system. Again, system guy, went to Philadelphia, not so good, came back much better. And a Devin McCourty at safety. So, great defensive team. Like I said, this is one of their most loaded teams that they've had in recent memory. So you have to go with them to win this division, barring, like I said, some kind of catastrophe or terror attack that takes out a Brady and a Belichick. All right, last division for today's show, the NFC East. We'll start off talking about the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, if you will. I think that's a bunch of bullshit myself. Again, sometimes on this show you will hear swear words, so if you're tuning in and that caught you off guard, sorry, but we're going to keep it real. But we'll start off with America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. How long will Ezekiel Elliott's suspension last? We don't know. His hearing is coming up here in the next few days, I think a little more than a week away. The 29th, I believe, is when that's scheduled to happen. So about 10 days. And the guys that are filling in for him, while he's potentially out up to 6 weeks, you have Darren McFadden. Okay, he was highly touted coming out of Arkansas, solid running back. You have an Alfred Morris, and they sign a Ronnie Hillman who can be a third down scat, try and catch some passes, kind of a back out of the backfield until Ezekiel Elliott's back out there on the field. And that's if Ronnie Hillman makes the final roster. So they have some guys to fill in. They might be okay as far as that goes. Is it going to hurt the team? By far. Is it going to hurt Dallas to where it completely derails their season? No, the offensive line is still solid. They're still going to be able to block for whoever's in the backfield, and they're still going to offer great pass protection to a Dak Prescott, who that, to me, is completely overlooked when talking about both of those rookies from last year. Yes, they played well. Yes, they played better than most rookies do. But switch up some scenarios. Put Carson Wentz on the Dallas Cowboys last year. Okay, Eagles fans, Cowboys fans, just listen for a minute. I know they're your guy, boo, 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 don't say stuff like that, sacrilegious. Just listen. Okay, take Carson Wentz out of it. Put Trevor Siemian, the Broncos quarterback, since their situation there in Denver is so bad. Put Trevor Siemian behind that Dallas Cowboys offensive line last year with Ezekiel Elliott and the same players. They would have had the same type of season. He plays mistake-free football. He's not going to take a chance that's unnecessary, and he's going to deliver the ball where it needs to go. Exactly what Dak Prescott did last year. They would not have a different team. Now, you take Dak Prescott and you put him in Denver last year with that offensive line in lack of a running game. Are we talking about him the same way this year? I don't think so. That's why some guys luck out and fall into great situations that allow them to use their abilities to excel. We need to see Des Bryant have a big year. If he's supposed to be a superstar, step up to the plate. Do something, because you've disappeared. After you dropped your touchdown against Green Bay in the playoffs a few years ago when you guys shouldn't even have been in that game because you lucked out and had a bad call against Detroit, you disappeared. You don't play no more. You talk. You're athletically gifted and do nothing. Look at Jason Witten, okay? Ageless wonder out there working. So big, they're lucky to have a guy like Witten. Talk about the team. He should be the team captain. Everybody should be going to him for leadership and role play. And again, who's going to play defense for the Cowboys this year? Do they have anybody left on their defensive side of the ball? I don't even know who they have on their defense. DeMarcus Lawrence, he sometimes has good games, okay. Malik Collins, Cedric Thornton, Tyrone Crawford, if he can keep himself on the field. Taco Charlton, he's a pass rush specialist, not real strong against the run. Wasn't at Michigan. Maybe he gets coached up here in the NFL. Then you look at their linebacker core. Okay, you got Sean Lee. Is Jalen Smith going to be able to play this year? Justin Durant comes over and offers some leadership. Back in, Orlando Scandrick's your top player. That says enough right there. And Byron Jones is your most athletic guy on the defense. I don't see Dallas having that breakout, all great, look at us type of Super Bowl year. I just don't see it. So I got them going 10-6. I was going to talk about Jerry Jones. Again, Dallas's coaches, they are not the difference maker for this team. That's where Dallas could get over and become that Super Bowl team, in my opinion, is if they had those coaches that were the difference maker. But they don't. Jason Garrett, no. Then you look at their defensive coordinator, Rod Marinelli and Scott Linehan. Both of them were ousted from Detroit. They're very predictive type of guys. They run very basic systems. They're just not difference makers. Moving on to Washington, I got this team going 9-7. Cousins, again, on a one-year deal, probably out the door next year. I believe the popular opinions he ends up in San Francisco. You lose a Jackson, you lose a Garcon, you bring in a Terrell Pryor, so you got a little bit less there on the offensive side of the ball as far as Washington goes. And then if you look at their defensive side of the ball, it's another situation where you got to like Tennessee, you got some try-hard guys. You got guys that are going to give you everything they got, but nothing that really sticks off the paper. Ryan Kerrigan maybe, Josh Norman is a name, but I think highly overrated. Sual Cravens, he's a safety linebacker hybrid, but he's going to be playing safety for him. And then you just got try-hard guys. You got guys that go out there and they're going to do their job. Nothing special. Washington 9-7. This is a division, of course, that is going to beat themselves up. They're going to beat each other up. They're going to take games away from each other. Philly, I got going 9-7 again for them. Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, and LeGarrette Blount come in. That gives Wentz in his second year some veteran weapons there. They let running back Ryan out the door. Sproles is still rolling there, but he's going to be the off back to LeGarrette Blount, it looks like. And I love the fact that Chris Long is there. He's one of my favorite players in the league right now, not just because of all his social missions and things that he does, but also for him standing up with Malcolm Jenkins in the protest of police brutality and mistreatment of citizens of this country. Last team in this division, the New York Giants. This team, again, I was excited about them last year. They almost lived up to the hype that I had them at. I'm excited about them again this year. I think they're going to go 10-6, maybe 11-5 in this division. The defense for this team is very solid. It was solid last year. They do lose a Jonathan Hankins. However, they still have on their defensive side of the ball, let me bring up their defense real quick. They still have Jason Pierre-Paul, who played really well with the club on his hand. They still have Snacks Harrison, Olivier Vernon. They still have B.J. Godson, Jonathan Casillas, Eli Apple, who was great as a rookie and only going to get better. Landon Collins is going for Defensive Player of the Year. He's a stud at safety. Janoris Jenkins, Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. I mean, they are loaded with talent on the defensive side of the ball. And that's something to say because I'm more impressed with what they could possibly do on the offensive side of the ball passing this year with Brandon Marshall and Shepard and Odell Beckham. And they bring in the rookie Ingram. And they bring over the tight end from they bring in another tight end from in free agency. So as far as the passing game goes, Eli really has no excuses. His only excuse is this offensive line and whether or not they're going to be able to give him the protection. Is Eric Flowers going to be able to play NFL left tackle? Is Justin Pugh going to be able to be the veteran leadership to get Flowers to play a little better? Can Henry and Hart or Jerry and Hart on the other side do what they need to do? Is Richburg going to be solid at center? You bring in a DJ Fluker. He's a backup right now. Maybe he ends up starting. Okay? Who's the tight end I was thinking of? Because I'm not even seeing his name in the depth chart here. But Rhett Ellison is the other tight end who's looking like he's going to start. He'll be more of the blocking tight end for him. But this is a team. I'm excited about what the Giants got going. I think the Giants win this division, and the Cowboys should still be there thanks to their offensive line. That's for sure. They're going to push those two teams for the division. That's my opinion. That's how I see it. Thanks for tuning in. Get at us on Facebook, Real Deal Sports Talk with KP, on Twitter, at Real Deal KVP. And you know how we do. Until next time, keep it real.